Stop Police Brutality, Repression, and Criminalization of a Generation. It is crucial that we bring forward a powerful National Day of Protest in cities and towns across the U.S. to challenge the ongoing violence against people, community members, citizens, non-citizens, communities of color, LGBT, disabled folk, everyone. On this day, we stand with thousands across the country to express our collective outrage, creativity, resistance in response to crimes of the system. As of this week, 4 individuals have been killed by law enforcement in San Diego County. Among them, Lamontis Jones, Rashawn Cole, and an individual we're going to call Jane Doe, as his name has not been released yet, from what I understand, from Calexico, California, shot and killed Wednesday morning by customs enforcers at the Calexico Port of Entry. As United Against Police Terror, we want to call out, we're not only publicly calling out the lack of transparency and accountability by our own Chief Zimmerman, we are also publicly denouncing Bonnie Dumanis, who is responsible for over 20 justified cases of 20 murders by San Diego police officers. So we are coming forward with the news here to disclose the 2 officers involved, Officer Robert Stinson and Scott Thompson, who shot and killed Lamontis Jones earlier this week in downtown area.
Shame!
They didn't want to come clean, so we decided to be transparent for them. I'm going to give a couple of stats. As United Against Police Terror since 1986, we have documented over 300 lives that have been killed by San Diego law enforcement, every branch. And that doesn't even include 150 additional individuals brutalized. Who knows how many they are? So this is a report from KPBS. I'm just going to read this real quick. From officer-involved shootings from 1993 to 2012, 367 victims, 195 have died from their injuries. According to the report, 123 documented mental illness were exhibiting unstable behavior or both. 1/3 had both mental health issues or under the influence of or possibly have had some type of addiction at the time. The report identifies at least 67 incidents, or 19%, that were suicide by cop. Are you familiar with that term? So that basically means that they justify the killing of a community member because a cop cannot take that ownership. So what they're saying is they decided to die by suicide by cop. It's a disgusting term. We need to call that out. We need to call the policing system, which is based on revenue. We need to call out Bonnie Dumanis for ruling these shootings as justified. We need to call out Chief Zimmerman for constantly gaslighting us whenever she has a press conference, saying that the officers feared for their life. The officers had to react in a split second. This is our money. This is $4 million put into a body-worn camera system, and it does not work for us. This is not for us. Does it protect us, or does it protect the police? It is for evidence collection only. So think about that. $4 million for evidence collection. That's not for us. They're not for us. So I'm calling Chief Zimmerman to take a stand and be transparent and accountable, and also reach our demand for an independent community review board on police practices. We need transparency, we need consistency, we need to gain community trust. And by that, community members presented this over about three times to city council members, saying this is what we want. In order to gain our trust, this is what we want. And they still believe their Citizens Review Board is independent, and it is not. They directly send those complaints to the police department so they can investigate themselves. We don't need that. We don't need that. Say the truth. So we're here on this day to call out Officer Thompson and Officer Stinson. We know who you are. We are the Watchers. It is perfect what we do as far as monitoring police. It is perfectly legal. We want to activate the community to do the same. Record the police, listen to the scanner, let them know that we are watching. I do want to take this opportunity to thank, over a good 50 women who's made this event possible. Everywhere from victims, families, survivors. It's always been, whenever I have a police brutality rally, the personal is always political. As somebody who was sexually assaulted by an LA cop in 2006, I always knew there had to be a reason for it. It wasn't done in vain. So I'm grateful that y'all are standing with me tonight.
We're sisters!
My sisters in the struggle, because a woman's place is at the head of the struggle. Remember that. Remember that. So I'm all set with what I'm going to say.
¡Arriba las mujeres!
¡Arriba mujeres! I'm going to be introducing our first speaker. She has lost her beloved son, Marc Carrasco. This is Elisa. And if you can come to the stage, she has something very important to share. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. This is her family.
Oh my God, I'm very nervous and I haven't prepared. This is my son right here, Marc Carrasco. My pride and joy was taken from me on March 5th, 2011. He was already in his bedroom sleeping. They came in and they shot him 9 times. My son was he was not a troublemaker. He was a hard-working man. He had 2 beautiful daughters. He has 2 beautiful daughters that he left behind. This is one of them, Jasmine. She's the oldest one. And it just has to stop. There was no need to shoot him 9 times. It makes no sense. It has to end. It has to end. It doesn't make sense. Thank you everyone who came for his support. I have his friends over there. We all miss him terribly. And they called it justifiable, but it's not. How do you justify that? How do you go in someone's house and shoot them 9 times? It doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
So I want to introduce a badass co-organizer of this event. I consider her a mentor, known her for a few years. I follow her lead. Please welcome Bertha Gutierrez. subjects. We were here last year on behalf of our communities in support of our brothers and sisters and our families in Mexico.
Ayotzinapa.
¡Vive!
Todos somos Ayotzinapa. Ayotzinapa vive.
¡La lucha sigue!
Ayotzinapa vive.
¡La lucha sigue!
¡Vivos se lo llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se lo llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
¡Vivos se lo llevaron!
¡Vivos los queremos!
To date, they still haven't found them. But we know what happened. It was the government that took them, and it's the government that needs to return them. Because we're still waiting for them, and we don't believe that they're dead. We stand with the parents. We know that they need to come back to their homes, and we're not going to stop asking where they're at. And not only them, but there's thousands and thousands of people who were taken. They didn't disappear, they were taken. They were taken from their homes. This brings me into the subject of the feminicidio. Thousands of women globally taken for sex trafficking, murdering women because we're less than a human being, because we're looked upon as not being a real human being. This shit's got to stop. All the way from our homes to all the boyfriends, husbands, brothers who abuse our women, it needs to stop at home.
¡A huevo!
We need to do a better job of raising our men and teaching them how to respect their women. We're sick and tired of hearing on the news every single day, and that includes trans lives as well, LGBT, everybody who identifies as a woman, all included. It needs to stop. As men, I am asking you to stand up when you see anybody abusing a woman. As women as well, because we're not weak. We can kick some fucking ass too. We need to stop that shit. Shit needs to stop now. No more abuse of women. In regards to the Border Patrol, more thugs with bullets, guns, and badges. Uniforms to hide their shame. Well, we're sick and tired of that shit too. Since 2005, U.S. Border Patrol agents have killed at least 50 people. To date, only one Border Patrol agent has been indicted in the murder of Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez. He was only 16 years old and he was shot 10 fucking times by U.S. Border Patrol. 10 times. 10 times, just the same as Valeria Monique Tachiquin that was shot and killed in Chula Vista right in our fucking neighborhood by Justin Tackett. Justin Tackett should have never had a uniform on because he had already been in problems with the sheriff's department. He should have never got that job. He ended up getting a job. The Border Patrol, Customs Border Patrol gave him the license to go out, hunt down this woman, and murder her in our own neighborhood, in our own streets. There was no warrant against her. There was no reason for her to have been hunted down like she was and shot and killed. She left behind 5 children. She left behind a mom, her father, family that loved her, a community that loved her. Shit's got to stop. That means that all the families are, okay, and to date, since none of these people have been held accountable, that means that to date, all the rest of these families and the victims have not had justice. They're still waiting for their justice. We're sick and tired of waiting for that justice. And just like the police department, there's massive corruption and lack of accountability in this system of thugs with guns and badges. Just yesterday, another person of color was murdered by a Border Patrol officer, and another man of color was also murdered right here in our streets downtown in San Diego by the police. Thugs with uniforms. Not only are they committing murders, there are rapists among them, sexually assaulting our women and children. There are thousands of complaints, excessive use of force, and physical and emotional abuse. This is prevalent in all sectors of law enforcement, with San Diego being one of the highest.
There's no such thing as San Diego's finest in fucking uniforms and that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. And that means that these thugs with badges don't respect our human and civil rights. That means that there is a great need for accountability and transparency. We have to keep demanding oversight, transparency, and accountability. We are sick and tired of these thugs with guns and badges overstepping the boundaries of their authorities. We must demand prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. We need the support of all our communities in order to do this. We cannot continue being complacent and indifferent. The indifference is our worst enemy. Because everybody here, they don't believe that this could happen. Everybody other than the victims and the families that are here today, we don't believe that this can happen to us because that's what these families believe, that it wasn't going to happen to them. But it did. Don't wait for this shit to happen to your families. Yeah. When shit goes down, be there. Show up. When we have rallies, when we have vigils to show our families and their victims and their loved ones, when we show love and respect, be there. Show up. And because without justice, there is no peace. Yeah. Sin justicia! Sin justicia! Sin justicia! No justice! No justice! No justice! No racist police! I want to bring up one of our sisters that suffered a loss. Her daughter, Valeria Tachiquin, was the one that was murdered right here in Chula Vista. And what we're also trying to do is that we're trying to recruit all of the families that have been victimized. So if you know of any of them, get a hold of Kat, get a hold of me, get a hold of anybody else that's here that's in an organization, and bring them forth. Because together we are more powerful. If we need to shame this fucking government, then we need to shame them. They need to be ashamed for what they've done.
Hi, my name is Annabel Gomez. Border Patrol murdered my daughter. And I feel like, why do we have to wait so long for them to take for justice? If it would have been us, we would have been in jail. We would have been locked up. And the only thing that happens to them is the badge. We should have never been hired. And it's every day it bothers me because it's like he took my daughter, my sister, and my grandkids don't have a mom, and he has a family. He still has a job. And not only that, he sued my daughter. He murdered my daughter. He sued my daughter's insurance. How can you do that? A person with no heart. It's a piece of shit. Yes. Woo! Woo! You know, you don't do that. You don't, no mercy, no nothing. And I want justice. And I thank you. Because these 3 years, I couldn't get up. And it's not easy. But I thank you because, like, and I see so many families. I was not the only one that's going through pain. Hurt. Other mothers that lost their sons, wives, husbands. And we do have to stay together and let our voice be out there and heard. Thank you.
We love you! And that's another thing, everybody. That's another thing. Find out who these families are. Make a humane and a human connection with them. Find out where they're at. Go see them. Invite them to some coffee. Take them a little something to eat or something. Connect with them on a human basis. Because I guarantee you that once you make that connection, you will never turn back. This is going to go on until they get justice. Because they're broken. And we need to pick up those pieces for them and put them back together.
Yeah.
Now I want to invite Maria Puga, wife of Anastacio Hernandez Rojas. Bernardo, venga. También usted. Anastacio Hernandez Rojas was beaten to death by the U.S. Border Patrol right here in San Isidro. 12 possibly be human beings, who had him tied behind his back, had him tied on his feet, brutally beat him to death, and fried his brain several times with a taser. Not only should they be held accountable and they should all go to prison for what they've done, but all those other pieces of shit that were standing around and didn't do a goddamn thing to stop it should also be held accountable. And if there's no law for that, because if I was in a situation where there was a murder being done and I even had nothing to do with it, but I was present, I'm going to be charged. We need to hold them accountable to the same situation. The same thing goes for them. Here's Maria Puga.
Buenas noches. Pues estamos aquí, ¿quién más que nosotros que hemos sentido en carne propia los abusos de la patrulla fronteriza, de la policía? A mí y a mi esposo hace 5 años fue brutalmente asesinado por la patrulla fronteriza, y creo que hemos mirado que estos abusos y estos asesinatos de estas personas no paran. Acabamos de mirar ahorita a la mamá de Valeria. Son casos que a mí en lo personal es algo que me duele mirar cómo sufre la señora con la pérdida de su hija.
Good evening. We're here in the flesh. I have lived in the flesh the injustices of this police department, of all police departments. I have lived in the flesh the injustices that families here in San Diego have lived through. My husband roughly got assassinated 5 years ago, and since then we have been in the struggle, and we will continue to be in the struggle, because as you just seen, the mother of Valeria, when you see people like that have gone through those situations, you need to be in the struggle.
Y esto no para. Hace 2 días acaban de asesinar a otra persona. Creo que todos los que estamos aquí ya estamos hartos de todos estos atropellos.
¡Ya basta!
And this is not stopping. They keep murdering us. And we need to halt this. We need to say stop to this. This doesn't stop.
Todos unidos podemos lograrlo. Yo siempre he dicho, la unión hace la fuerza. Y creo que tenemos que seguir organizándonos, hablar con nuestros vecinos. No debemos de permitir ya estos atropellos. Ya estamos hartos de que nuestros hijos, mis hijos, 5 hijos se quedaron en su papá. Valeria, 5 hijos. Está Francisco con sus otros hijos, su mamá, su familia. Son todas estas imágenes que miran aquí, son todas las personas que han sido asesinados por la policía y por la patrulla fronteriza. Y a ninguno se le ha hecho justicia. Ellos siguen trabajando, siguen haciendo lo mismo siempre. No pasa ni siquiera un año cuando ya nos matan a otra persona. Creo que eso, ya estamos hartos.
We're tired, we're frustrated. We're tired of these injustices. This keeps on happening. Every single person that you see listed right here in front of you has not received justice. Their families have not received justice. We are tired of this. Speak to your neighbors. Organize your communities. Because only together, only through unity, will we be strong.
Sé que juntos lo vamos a lograr. ¿Qué queremos? ¡Justicia! ¿Cuándo? ¡Ahora! Gracias.
We would like to invite Brenda and her mom, Trinidad. They are related to, this is Francisco Cesena's sister and her mom, that her brother Francisco was murdered last year, Christmas Eve. Like they don't give a shit what day it is. You know, they ruined all of that for the rest of their lives. That's what they have to think about during these times. But we're going to be there with them. We're going to be there with them again this coming Christmas Eve at 2 o'clock at the border, and we're going to support them because they are not alone. Can we get everybody here to commit to be there with these families? Please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brenda Cesena. I'm Francisco Cesena's sister. Francisco was murdered at our San Diego border on Christmas Eve. He was tasered 7 times and he was beaten. His ribs were completely broken and then left him to die. They did not care that he had a family that he was trying to get home to for the holidays. He left 3 kids behind and a grandchild. He was my only brother. I have no more siblings but my children and my mother and my husband that he's out somewhere. We need to stop. They don't care what day it is, they do it. They're still going to be able to be with their family on Christmas while they mark the family for the rest of our lives. It's not fair, and it's not only Border Patrol. We have San Diego Police Department that are doing their little shenanigans out in the street whenever they please. It's not fair to anybody. So we need to unite, come as one big family, and let them know that we're not going to give up till justice is served.
Woo! Right.
Muchachos, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Trinidad Cesena. Soy la mamá de Francisco Cesena. Lo único que pido yo es apoyo de todos ustedes, de toda la comunidad, para poder sacar estos casos adelante. Es muy triste, no sé qué va a pasar ahora en Navidad. Nosotros hemos sufrido mucho la pérdida de Francisco, porque somos una familia chica y ahora quedamos más pequeña. Pero lo único que necesitamos es apoyo de ustedes, de todos ustedes, para sacar estos casos adelante y que haya justicia para poder quedar en paz. Como dijo el Señor, no queremos dinero, queremos justicia, que se haga justicia. Otro muerto más ahora hace 2, 3 días. ¿Qué está pasando? ¿Qué está pasando con la policía? Si está para apoyarnos a toda la comunidad, a todos los muchachos estudiantes, cuídense mucho cuando vayan y pasen la frontera, porque en la frontera está la corrupción, y en las calles y todo. Cuídense, muchachos, es lo único que nosotros queremos. Por eso estamos en los colegios dando a conocer el caso para que tengan precaución al salir. Que se le hace fácil a uno, dice, pues nos vamos a Tijuana, vamos a bailar, vamos a tomar unos tragos, ahí cruzamos a las 2, 3 de la mañana, bien happy, bien todo. Pero ¿qué va a pasar? ¿Qué va a pasar? Ustedes no saben quién les va a tocar, el emigrante que les toque, porque son racistas, no quieren a los mexicanos, no quieren a los africanos, no quieren a nadie, ellos no quieren a nadie, no tienen corazón o no tienen familia. Queremos apoyo, muchachos, apóyennos en todo lo que puedan, ¿ok?
Trinidad, Francisco's mother is asking for everybody's support here. Her heart is broken. Of course, you can imagine how they feel. It's very hard. It's very hard for a family to pick up the pieces. It's very hard for them to get up and even be here. Because I've tried to bring them to a Skype conference, but you know, even on a daily basis, just to get up out of the bed when your loved one was taken, and even for those of us that have lost loved ones, it's difficult to continue to move on. But when your loved one is taken in such a violent manner, it's completely different. Because I can just imagine that you're just thinking about what were your loved one going through at the time that they were taking their lives, because you weren't there. So we need to be there to support them. All they're asking is for you to continue to be there with for their support. They're a very small family. Now they're even smaller. And so they need us. They need us. They need us to reach out to them and make sure that they're okay. They need us to reach out to them and talk to them and check on them and see how they're doing. We all need to do that to each other, especially for our elders. Let's not forget our elders too. So with that, thank you so much, Catherine, for having us here. And come on over, revolutionary sister.
La misma porquería.
La placa, la migra, la misma porquería. La placa, la migra, la misma porquería.
Okay, so I have the honor to introduce a lifelong friend. All right, I've known him for such a long time. He is a black LGBT activist. He's really honored for him to be here. He's going to be talking about his stories. Please welcome Terrance. Terrance Kate III.
Greetings, everybody.
Hello.
God bless everybody for being here.
God bless you.
God bless the people who wanted to be here and can't make it. God bless the people who deliberately avoid these type of spaces. Just want to offer 10 seconds of silence for all my transgender siblings of color brutally victimized for living their authentic lives. My name is Terrance Kate Miller. I am a LGBTQIA community chaplain. Trained by California's mental health movement. Each Mind Matters as a mental health first aider. I have an associate's degree in information technology and networking, bachelor's degree in human services and management. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, and I'm a radically inclusive Christian on the far left side of things. I was born in Oakland, California, female, raised in Doylestown, Ohio, still female. I'm transgender. I was born female, raised as such. I first started, my first time I went to jail was 17. I was a senior in high school. I went to Myrtle Beach for my senior trip. Got drunk, you know, and detained. And then that cycle continued while I joined the Navy. Just drinking, underage, superiors throwing alcohol at me left and right, trying to see, I guess, what was gonna happen. I was young, dumb, full of cum, and definitely fell into some traps, some snares, and was reprimanded for homosexual conduct and fraternizing with my superior. And that, growing up queer and in the service, it was an unsafe space, and I began sliding downhill, just frustrated. Relationships, poor communication, partnerships. Just my lovers would, you know, be enraged and call the cops. And I was detained for drunken domestic disturbances, numerous occasions. I have some pictures. This is what I used to look like as a female. It's hard to imagine somebody transitioning, but as a young queer person, I didn't really identify as a transgender person. I identified as an athlete, you know, a tomboy. And it wasn't until after I joined the service and learned that there were some queer spiritual prayer warriors who had my back all those years while I was struggling under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The now failed policy of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So I'm grateful today to say that I am 7 years sober. I am receiving benefits. Thank you. Yeah, the VA has assisted me finally with getting some mental health services and, you know, helping me with just getting my benefits for the abuse, the spiritual abuse that I was subjected to, not having people I could trust to communicate with authentically in the service. That's changed now. Thankfully, young people are able to serve openly. Young queer people are allowed to serve openly, and that's a beautiful thing. But there are damages done, and veterans and locally we need to be able to speak about these things and go to our, our community leaders and share ourselves authentically. And so I am also a medical cannabis patient and advocate, and so that is definitely been denied access to federal housing facilities for consuming cannabis, and just these things need to be talked about. We need to be able to have honest and open conversations with our families, with our mental health professionals, our healthcare administrators, and our employers through the hiring cycle. We need to be authentic and let them know that this is spiritually abusive. It's abuse of power, and it's abuse of privilege, and it's abuse of finances. So, thank you for your time. God bless.
You got it. Let's give it up for Nadia.
Hi, you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming out. So hi, you guys. Thank you. My name is Nadia Contreras, and I'm here for the same reason as you are. I'm concerned, I'm worried, and I'm ready to do something about it. There's a lot of people that have been here for the past 20 years celebrating today's day. So it's very important that you stay informed throughout the whole year about things that are happening that represent the community here. I want to tell you guys one thing that is missing from the police department, okay? And that is emotional intelligence. It's a known fact that a lot of the cops are reacting out of fear, not out of the safety of the community, not out of the safety for themselves, but out of fear. I'm in fear for my life. You guys have felt fear before. It's okay to have fear. However, if you take on the responsibility to be a policeman, you need to be able to be a professional and put that aside. And that is why emotional intelligence has to be taught to all cops, not just the new cops coming in, because we know that the new cops are having to go through emotional intelligence now, but the older cops, just like the cop that just shot that gentleman 2 days ago, they've been in the force for over 15, 20 years. The other cop has been in the force for about 15, 20 years. So the lack of humanizing that's happening right now is just ridiculous. That is why we're experiencing such things, because nobody is humanizing these situations, okay? Now, this is very brutal, and I'm gonna give it to you the way I like to, okay? I like the shock factor. Close your eyes and imagine your mother being treated like that, police officers. Close your eyes and imagine your daughters being treated like that, officers. Close your eyes and imagine anybody that you love being stomped on the ground, having no type of right, and also being treated like an animal. You wouldn't like that. We are all brothers and sisters out here. We are all here asking for solidarity, for peace, and for all of us to have justice, okay? We're not asking for anything ridiculous. Like these victims' families ask, they don't want any money, they don't want your condolences, they want justice, okay? Very simple, justice. Justice for all of these stolen lives right here. Everybody on this list, none of them deserve to die. Regardless of what they were doing, they did not deserve to die. We are not our creator. So let us stop acting like it, okay? And just to let the cops know, because we are surrounded by some of them, we come in peace, but we are pissed. So we want justice, please. And thank you guys. Thank you guys. And I want to say thank you to Affirm as well. Power to the people, and thank you to Affirm. Power to the people. Oh, and I highly suggest wherever you go, and if you're riding in your car, throw this up. This means something. And if I recognize one of my brothers and sisters with their arms up, I know exactly what it means. It means we see eye to eye, and it means that we're fighting the same cause. And all it is for justice. Okay? Thank you guys. Thank you, guys. I want to introduce Women Occupy San Diego. Where are you at? Where are you at? There you are, young.
So I've heard so many sad stories tonight, and I really wanted to take a minute just to mourn and to think about all these names that are here, and to reflect on why they're on this banner. And I'm sorry that some of you are so far away that you can't see, but this banner will be here, and really to think about every single person that's on this banner. And we don't even know if we have everybody's name on this banner. I want to thank United Against Police Terror for putting this banner together, because right now in the United States there is nobody collecting the names of people killed by police.
There's no data sheet we can go to find this information at.
So this is an awesome service, and it's scary when I look at these names, and I say, not one more.
Right on. Not one more.
So what are we going to do? I've heard some really good suggestions, all excellent. So just very quickly, Women Occupy San Diego. We've been convening the most recent effort to change the Civilian Review Board. Right now there's a Citizens Review Board, has no power. So we have been going, like Cathy mentioned, and we've been going to the seat of power, City Council, and we've been saying we need a strong, independent community review board on police practices. And what are they telling us? No. Yes. No. No. So we're going to have to go back and demand it louder, which means that we need people to be there demanding. We need an independent community review board on police practices that has the power to investigate, the power to subpoena police officers so they have to answer questions, the power to talk to witnesses, and the power to fire or properly reprimand or punish the people who have done the bad things. I'm kind of being childish here, but yeah, really, this is ridiculous. This banner is scary to me. So that would be one thing. It's just one step. We know that's not the final answer. There's so many more things that we need to do, because we have to change our culture. This is a cultural problem in the United States. We are in love with violence. We are militarizing our country. So right now the San Diego police, while they may be afraid, guess where they're getting trained? They are being trained by Mossad in Israel. That's the thinking that's going on in our leadership, that the Mossad of Israel are so fierce and tough that we're going to send our police there. So when the police get trained, they come back, and they come back as an occupying force. Not acceptable. So why do we accept this? We have to stop this. And one way is to increase the transparency and the accountability, which means we need an independent review board that will say to each individual cop that does bad, you're out. That will say to the police department, these practices are bad, you're out. This is what we need to protect and serve. So, police the police, I heartily endorse that. So Women Occupy, we need you to give us your organizational names or get on our mailing list, and we will tell you when these meetings are or how you can push that. But police the police is so important. So if Cathy or United Against Police Terror can tell us how to do that, because we need to document what is going on. We need to have the pictures. So if you are willing to go out there and take pictures. I heard someone tell me today that there are a lot of people who wanted to be here in this space today, but they didn't feel safe, because they know that when they go back out into the community, they're a target. So we need to make sure that they're not a target by being out in the community with our cameras, with our bodies, and making sure that we protect them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ann Barrett. I have the pleasure to introduce a performing artist. She actually is the creator of Indie Fest. And Alicia, Danielle and Alicia. So Diana LoPresti is going to be doing a song that she specifically directed towards the STPD while Indie Fest was going on. So I'd like to, without further ado.
Can I ask you to come closer? We're getting skinny. Let's get closer so we're a little bit plumper. The crowd is a little bit plumper. Please come closer. We don't have anything to amplify, Alicia, and I'd love for you to hear the guitar. I just want to challenge us all to never, ever, ever become numb to how horrible this is. Never, ever, ever let ourselves become numb. Because a loss like this to anyone's family is a loss to all of our families. Totally connected, whether we're awake to that connection or not. 8 years old, 8 p.m., Roots Part 1, Channel 10. I never ever will forget that day I first felt the shame of my color, my face. I saw too many people looking way too much like me, acting out their ignorance and hideous atrocity. So many sins hung in the wind, blowing blame, torture and pain. Sister, I may be a different color, but I am awake. Call me sister, brother, I may be a different color, but I am awake. I am 24, 2 a.m., rush out the door, worked overtime again, tall and handsome, young and dark, he stood by my car and his words tore me apart. He turned around and asked me, could I spare a little time? He was a midnight poet, reciting for his dime. I looked at him, his eyes pulled me in. I gladly paid to hear what he had to say, and he said, sister, I may be a different color, but I am awake. He called me sister, brother, I may be a different color, but I am awake. I am awake. Woo! I'll never fully understand your pain until I come back as you, but I am a mama of a black boy and I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. I want to see him rise to the heights of his power, waking this wide world up to his culture, the size and drive of what it takes to survive in this country. As a minority sister, I may be a different color. I am awake. Call me sister, brother, I may be a different color, but I am awake. But I am awake. Brother, I may be a different color, but I am awake. I am awake.
Where can we find your music? Where can we find your music?
TLPM.com. Okay.
TLPM.com. That is
beautiful.